the hell's wrong with her?
Attendez, sur le gain capital, pourquoi vous faites la
Okay, c'est difficile d'entendre parce que tout le monde crie. OK, alors.
There's like 3 people asking you questions. What the hell is wrong with her hands, dude? She's on like some drug? She's tweaking out? Oh my goodness. The age-old question comes back into play today. What the heck is wrong with Freeland? Look, if she's got like a form of Parkinson's or some medical condition, sure, maybe that should be made to the public. But until that is actually disclosed, dude, she's got like some weird cocaine twitchiness going on, and it is freaking bizarre. We're taking a look at that. We're taking a look at a clapback Justin Trudeau does to Trump about the tariffs. Trump says Canada would have better health care as being a 51st state. Heinz Ketchup chimes in and says, Trudeau is providing mis and disinformation about certain things. There's a lot to cover in this video. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. I don't say this to be annoying. I say this because I really want you guys to get these updates of the news. And the best way to do that is to actually be subscribed with post notifications on. But let's move on and let's get right into it. Starting with, when I hear the news of escalating trade tensions, it gets me thinking about the impact on our everyday lives and how having access to the full story is so essential. With big tech algorithms and biased media creating these echo chambers, we're often bombarded with conflicting narratives, making it hard to understand the true consequences and what is really happening in the news. But luckily, there's a solution to cut through all the noise, and that is Ground News. They're an app and website that I partner with because they are committed to bringing you the truth, the unbiased media. Go to ground.news/sun to see for yourself how this works. Here's a story about Alberta Premier Danielle Smith's recent visit with Trump, where they discuss his plans to impose 25% tariffs. Over 30 sources from around the world are reporting on the story, and Ground News gives me a quick summary based on all the articles. Most of the coverage is from the left and center, with just 25% of the coverage from right-leaning sources and 55% from left-leaning sources. Digging a little deeper, it seems like both sides are saying Trump ain't gonna back down on these tariffs. When you really look at the headlines, you can see how each side spins the story. Global news is all doom and gloom, talking about how something dangerous is brewing. On the other hand, the National Post is worried about a national unity crisis if Canada cuts off oil to the US. Fox Business, another right-wing channel, reminds us that there are no winners in a trade war. Seeing these different takes side by side on Ground News really shows how the same story can be told in so many different ways. It helps you see how different news outlets try to sway you and lets you make up your own mind based on what you actually read. If you love politics as much as I do, you can track the latest from Pierre, Poilievre, and other political stories on their interest pages. I can stay updated on critical developments and media blind spots. With the upcoming election, it's more important than ever to pay attention to how the left is spinning stories and shaping public opinion. I really think that Ground News is providing a solution that we all desperately need right now. So demand transparency in the leaders who are supposed to serve you and the news that's supposed to accurately inform you with Ground News. Go to ground.news/sun or click the link in the description, scan the QR code, and send this to somebody who needs it, because if you subscribe through my link, you can get 40% off the Vantage plan right now, and that's the same plan I use to get unlimited access. Plus, by subscribing, you're not just helping my channel, but you're also taking back control on how you stay informed. Thank you, Ground News, for sponsoring today's video. All right, so Donald Trump said that Canada would have better health care as being a 51st state, and this is breaking news, man. CTV is posting on their website, breaking news, Trump says Canada would have much better health coverage as a state. Let's take a look.
I would love to see Canada be the 51st state. The Canadian citizens, if that happened, would get a very big tax cut, tremendous tax cut, because they're very highly taxed. And you wouldn't have to worry about military. You wouldn't have to worry about many of the things. You'd have better health coverage. You'd have much better health coverage. So I think the people of Canada would like it, you know, if it's explained.
I mean, this is a very controversial topic. If Pierre Poilievre wasn't running for prime minister, do you think that you would be more willing to be the 51st state of America? Or do you think that it's because Pierre is running that you're like, hey, well, no, I want Pierre to be our prime minister? I think that at some point there's going to have to be some form of a economic merger. America is likely going to need to expand in the grand scheme of the world, because I'm under the impression that in 20, 30, 40 years from now, it's going to be two ways, one of two ways. The world's going to be under Sharia law, or the world is going to be based off of Western culture and Western values. Take your pick. Take your pick. I think a lot of people watching these videos would say, yeah, no, we don't want Sharia law. So does that mean that America just acquires Canada by default? No, I don't think that that is per se the answer to defeating Sharia law versus Western culture. But I think that something big is going to happen, and we're probably going to see it within the next 4 years. And there's also speculation that the Republicans are looking to get rid of some form of term limits for Trump, which I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this, but yeah, get rid of them. Trump should just be president for the next 10, 15 years. He should just run the show. But that's my opinion. That might be a little bit unhinged. I hope it doesn't get me canceled. But let me know if you guys agree or disagree and your reasoning why down below. Then you got Heinz Ketchup that says this about Justin Trudeau. Kraft Heinz hits back at what it called Trudeau's misleading, mis and disinformation comment about its Canadian ketchup. Food giant says it is proud that its ketchup is made in Canada by Canadians using Canadian tomatoes. A ketchup giant is seen red after Prime Minister Trudeau brought up its past exit from Canada while discussing a potential Canada-US trade war. Speaking with reporters after a Wednesday meeting with the premiers, Trudeau urged consumers to seek out Canadian-made products to avoid US imports that could soon be more costly because of retaliatory tariffs. That's why we will look, as we have in the past, at things that have replacements for Canadian consumers that wouldn't be tariffed. Trudeau said the example from last time was Heinz ketchup being replaced by French's ketchup because French was still using Canadian tomatoes in its ketchup. While it is true that Heinz was not making ketchup in Canada at the time, the company says that it has changed several years ago. Let's take a look at Trudeau providing mis and disinformation.
You said earlier that everything is on the table. I assume that includes fully matching the 25% tariffs the Trump administration is proposing. How quickly do you think the Canadian government could ramp that up? And if you do have to take that measure, isn't it Canadian consumers who will feel the brunt of that?
First of all, as I said, everything is on the table, and I support the principle of dollar for dollar matching tariffs. It's something that we are absolutely going to be looking at if that is how they move forward. The bottom line, as you say, is that import tariffs, like the 25% that President Trump is proposing, are actually paid or would be paid by American consumers. And if and when Canada needs to respond with equivalent tariffs on imports from the United States, those would be paid by Canadian consumers. That's why we will look, as we have in the past, at things that have replacements for Canadian consumers that wouldn't be tariffed. The example from last time was Heinz's ketchup being replaced by French's ketchup, because French's was still using Canadian tomatoes in its ketchup. Having Canadian consumers have alternatives to having to spend tariffs on American inputs is part of how we make sure that we don't bear, or Canadians don't bear, undue costs around tariffs. At the same time, there will be costs for Canadians if we move forward on tariffs to the United States, and that's why we will be there to support and compensate Canadians and Canadian businesses depending on the response we have. The principle is that we will be there to support Canadians, and Canadians will be there to support each other during any difficult times of terror.
During a trade war, when this douche magoosh has already announced that he's exiting Canada, he has no more skin in the game, yet he's making these types of decisions to put us in a trade war with America. I don't understand how this is even legal. I don't understand how this is even allowed and or tolerated. He's got no skin in the game. He's resigning. He's committed to resigning. Oh no, les papiers, I'm not a quitter. By the way, I'm resigning. Like the weirdest freaking resignation speech ever. And here he is saying, brace yourself, Canada. It's going to get tough. Not for me, but for thee. I think that that's absolutely mental. Let me know down in the comments if you guys agree with Justin Trudeau's approach or what you have to criticize about his approach. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Any politician that you see who's jumping the gun saying immediately that we got to fight back America with retaliatory tariffs, when they've laid out the exact roadmap as to what needs to happen and why. Canada's problems are bleeding into America. That's not good. I don't think that we should be doing that. I don't think that we should be tolerating that for ourselves, our own reputation. Plus, we also have a lot of stuff here that we just need to fix ourselves. Let's fix our shit and let's move on. Coincidentally, that's what Trump is asking. Hey, Canada, fix your stuff or else you're going to get taxed extra. Okay. All right, America. We're not talking about dealing with Luxembourg. We're talking about dealing with America. Just because they're our neighbors doesn't mean that they need to be as nice as they have been for the past hundreds of years. So yes, we fix our stuff here. And then once it's fixed, once it's satisfactory, if Trump then says, okay, well, we really like the tariffs, then yeah, we talk about something retaliatory. But until then, this is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand it. But now let's get into some fun stuff about Freeland, shall we? Such as this. Freeland says Liberal leadership candidates should pledge to run as MPs. That's because Mark Carney and other people, Mark Carney is not an MP and other people are likely to lose their own riding, which is absolutely freaking hilarious. But above and beyond that, Freeland calls on the candidates to agree to 4 debates ahead of the Liberal leadership vote. We must show Canadians that we, as a party, are up to the task of defeating Pierre Poilievre. Okay. Canadians deserve to see us debate our ideas and the path forward for our party and our country without delay. And I'll be honest, it's going to come down to 2 people in that. It's going to come down to Freeland or Carney. And I think Carney might actually be able to have a one-up on these debates than Freeland, because we've all seen Freeland in question period. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't say or answer the question at all. It's absolutely insane. But she's doing this for a reason. Okay. So I posted this on X. The race is funny to follow, an actual shit show. She knows damn well that Chandra stands no chance in a bilingual debate, and frankly, neither does Mark Carney. So Freeland is getting feisty, which is kind of an interesting tactic. So even though Mark Carney in English may be able to handle his way a little bit better than Freeland, I don't actually know if that's true. I'm just kind of using all the information to make an educated guess, because we haven't really seen Mark Carney in that type of a pressure situation in a live debate. When it comes to French, the only 2 people that are going to be able to hold their own is Karina Gould, who talks like this sometimes. She just really whispers. And then Chrystia Freeland. And so that's kind of funny. That's actually a very interesting and funny tactic by Freeland. And you're starting to see what Trump called her, what Trump nicknamed her, is starting to come out now. The killer. She's the killer. And I think that every single move going forward with this debate, it's going to be initiated by Freeland. We should do this. We should do that. And she's trying to take control of the situation. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because she's the only one yet that has proposed anything for the entire race. And everyone's going to be going, what's she going to do next? What's she going to do next? And someone might have an idea. Karina Gould may have an idea. Well, maybe we should do this. And it'll probably get shut down by Freeland. Right now, feels like Freeland is running the show for the Liberal debate. She's the biggest hotshot MP. I mean, in terms of like her name, her notoriety out of all of the candidates. She's been referred to as the killer by Trump. I think that Karina Gould is going to get squashed. That Indian guy that doesn't speak English or French is going to get squashed. Now there's a girl, an Indian girl, who's I don't know. It's kind of getting weird. And then you got Mark Carney. I think Freeland's chances may have just gone up and surpassed Carney's. But we're gonna have to wait and see how this plays out, because again, at the end of the day, it is Freeland that we're talking about. And like I said at the beginning of this video, she's got some weird quirks, man. She's got some weird ass quirks. Let's take a look at this.
Ms. Freeland, why is most of Cabinet lining up behind your arrival instead of you?
Thank you for the question, and I'm really glad to be here today to be meeting with my caucus colleagues. I am so grateful to the colleagues who have been supporting me. I want to highlight, I'm especially grateful to the people who bring the caucus together, do the hard work in our caucus, the workhorses of our caucus. I'm really glad to have the support of the current Ontario caucus chair, Michael Coteau, the former Ontario caucus chair, Jamie Maloney, the Quebec caucus chair, Stéphane Lauzon, the chair of Women's Caucus, Leah Taylor-Roy. And for me, a huge emphasis is going to be reviving the party, reviving the grassroots of the party, reviving a real democratization process in the party. We can never again be in a position where the leader is the only person who decides who the leader is. And I think Liberal Party grassroots members and caucus need to have a greater say in what we do and how we do it. Je suis tellement fière.
So the messaging is there. I mean, if this were to be on a piece of paper with no name attached to it, the messaging is there that there's some big flaws within the Liberal Party, within our entire system, not just the Liberal Party, but the entire system. How you can have a prime minister where you have all opposition parties that are ready to go forward with the vote on confidence, and then he quits or resigns, but not really, and then prorogues government. It's a very weird system, right? And so there are some flaws, as in any system. Nothing will ever be absolutely bulletproof, but it's Freeland saying it, and I don't like her, and I have the bias, and so she can put a smile on her face, she can surround herself by other people. When I see her, my immediate brain thoughts go towards combative. How do I criticize her? I don't like her. I don't think there's anything that she could say that'll change my mind. The way she's treated people in the past and laughed at freezing bank accounts and invoking the Emergencies Act. I think that she's a horrible human being. But objectively speaking, when she says that there's a massive problem with the Liberal Party, yeah. I mean, I think everyone can see that. What the hell's wrong with her?
Okay, c'est difficile d'entendre parce que tout le monde crie. Okay, alors.
There's like 3 people asking you questions. What the hell is wrong with her hands, dude? She's on like some drug? She's tweaking out? Oh my goodness. The rest of that interview was conducted in French and there was absolutely no translation. Next, we're going to take a look at Karina Gould, who then got stopped by reporters in the hall and see what she has to say in response to what's going on, the leadership race, and just the overall state between Canada and America.
I hope so, but at the end of the day, it's up to caucus members to decide that. I would certainly encourage my colleagues to wait for the race to get underway a little bit to know what everybody stands for and what we're putting forward. But what I can say is I'm getting calls from people right across the country who are joining the party, sometimes for the first time or rejoining because they're excited about it, about me running. So at the end of the day, it's one member, one vote, and my job as one of the candidates, like all of us, is to convince Liberal members that we're the best person for the job.
You see, it looks like a movement of the party establishment to run for Mr. Carney, and you seem to be getting a lot of younger people.
Yeah.
That kind of leaves Ms. Freeland out in the cold, doesn't it?
Well, look, it's up to all of us to convince people that we're the right person for the job. And I have to say, I am so buoyed by the support that I'm getting from young people across the country. But Bob, it's not just young people. I'm hearing from people of every generation, every background who really feel hopeful about the fact that I'm running and feel hopeful for the first time about the future of the country in a long time. And that's something that makes me excited too.
If you're successful, one of your first big jobs will be dealing with President Trump. At Davos, he was talking about the need for NATO spending to go up to 5% of GDP, and also saying if Canada wants to avoid tariffs, just become a state and they go away. How would you handle the Trump administration, especially with that NATO ask coming in now?
Well, first of all, Canada will never become the 51st state of the United States. We are a proud, sovereign country, and that's who we are. And
I laugh at how concrete these people's answers are, as if they have any control over that. If America wanted to use any form of military force or economic force to really make a move and do it, it would be done on a weekend, and we wouldn't even know what happens. While we're sleeping, it would be done. Look, we don't have much in Canada right now. Our dollar is at an all-time low. Our economic state is horrible. People are dipping into their savings accounts. To buy a stick of butter. That's not good. What the hell is going on with Canada? We're in one of the worst states that we have ever been in. And these people are going, we're never, ever, ever going to be the 51st state. You don't have control over that. None of us do. Trump has control. America has control over that. I don't want to necessarily per se be the 51st state. I think that there should be an economic bridge between Canada and America, but these people don't even want to talk about that. They don't want to say anything about that. They want to ruin our country, ruin our dollar further and further, just so they can have a desk with a little piece of paper that says Prime Minister, and that's what they want for their legacy. That's what they want. Or leader of the Liberal Party. That's all they want. These people don't know how to fix the country. They got us here. They supported the carbon tax. They supported all of the liberal policies that have gotten us to where we are today. Historically speaking, when a country becomes so poor where its citizens have to dip into their savings, their life savings accounts, in order to pay for simple things like apples, oranges, or a stick of butter, a country is on the verge of collapse. Like, right there. That's like the last thing that happens before something catastrophic takes over. I'm just saying we're in a very pivotal moment right now in our history as a nation. And I don't believe them when they say the way that they talk. There's no substance when they talk. I don't believe them.
There is no doubt in my mind that for every single Canadian, that is first and foremost, and let me be very clear, our sovereignty is non-negotiable and it will never be on the table. When it comes to NATO, okay, well, the US is not at 5% either. So look, I think we are definitely in a world where
the US carries more than half of NATO contribution. More than half. It doesn't matter what percent of their GDP they're at. They carry more than half. You combine every other country a part of NATO, and then you stack it up to America's contribution. I think America has like 55 or 58 or 60% of the entire NATO's contribution. And America's not at 5% either. What the hell's the matter with you? That's extremely misleading.
We need to make sure that we have adequate defense spending. We are in a whole different geopolitical context than we were even 5 years ago. And so I think this is something that we're going to have to talk about as NATO members in terms of what that means. Canada still has a ways to go when it comes to getting to 2%. We've committed to doing that. But we also need to address some of the challenges in our armed forces. Look, our CAF personnel, they are not paid adequately and sufficiently. And that's one of the issues that we have when it comes to recruitment and when it comes to retention. We also need to address our procurement. One of the things that I would do immediately is appoint a procurement czar, because it takes too long for us to get the defense equipment that we need. And then, of course, we have to have a conversation with our allies about what our Western defense alliance looks like in the face of what are more aggressive actors around the world. So these are things that we absolutely have to be talking about. And I think it's really important for our military personnel to know that if I was the leader of the Liberal Party, if I was the Prime Minister, that I would have their backs, because they've had our backs so many times.
She's just a dumb woman. Oh, I want to speak the way I would speak off camera. She's an idiot. She's an absolute idiot. She is all about social programs. She's all about farming votes. She has no idea how Canada has to make sacrifices financially just to hit 2% of our GDP for NATO's defense contribution. The minimum. Never mind doubling it to over 4% to get 5%. She has no idea how to do that. You're not equipped for this. You're way out of your league being there. This is embarrassing. These people are going to ruin this country. The only hope that we have is Pierre Poilievre. But even with Pierre, I mean, he's been dealt a shitstorm of a hand right now, cards. I mean, yeah, getting Trudeau out, Pierre's been doing a phenomenal job of badgering Justin Trudeau, badgering the Liberals, and really dominating the political scene here in Canada. You got Americans that are like, man, that dude that ate the apple with the reporter, that was sick. You've got Americans like, whoa, he said 2 genders. Canadians like, wow, he said there's only 2 genders. That's incredible. He's the right guy for the job. I think nothing that he's said or done that I've ever seen would lead me otherwise. However, he's going up against Trump, and that's a shit hand to be dealt with. Especially, it could be great. It could be phenomenal. But Trump already has Canada in his sights and is looking at Canada, smacking his lips, and he's got a fork and a knife in one hand, and he's putting a bib on. He's going, I want me some of that great white north. And to deal with that mess is going to be Pierre. Now, I'm not saying Pierre should be bending at the knee for everything that Trump says or wants. However, we should be talking more about working with America, not against America. And I haven't yet seen that from any politician other than Danielle Smith. She's gone rogue, man. She's gone rogue. She's like, I don't give a shit what federal policies are. I'm the premier of Alberta. We got all the oil and gas. We're making the country's money right here. And we're going to be working directly with America. And call that whatever you want. I think that's pretty awesome. And we need more of that. We need more politicians stand up and going, let's work with America. And let's make this the best freaking continent in the world, and let's increase our superpower strength together. I would like to see that by more politicians, but that's my opinion. I would absolutely love to know yours. Thanks for watching, everybody. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget that supporting the channel sponsors is a phenomenal way of supporting my channel. I'll see you guys in another one. Bye for now.